The Joe Rogan Experience.
So what this implant allows you to do is you can interface with a computer and you can use keyboard, you can type in URLs, you can play video games.
Yeah.
How does it work?
Yeah. So basically, excuse me, my implant has like a Bluetooth connection to the computer. And then through that, Neuralink has created an app that they have uploaded to the computer, and through that app, I can interface with the computer. What it does is all of the electrodes on the threads are sending neuron spikes, neuron signals, and so it's all implanted in my motor cortex. Through my intentions, so say if I want to try to move my hand left, right, up, down. I can't really move it. I have like a little bit of movement in my hand, but I can't really move it. But the neurons are still firing. That intention is still there. So like those signals are being sent. There's just a cutoff in my spinal cord. So obviously it's not getting down. But it's still going on in my brain. And those electrodes are picking up those signals. And there's an algorithm, like machine learning going on in the background that is taking those intentions, and over time it is learning what I'm trying to do, and that translates to cursor control. So yeah, so if I want to try to move the cursor to the left, I move my hand to the left, but that's not necessarily what I would need to do. If I wanted to move the cursor to the left, I could kick my foot, or I could do any sort of like motor action to train it to learn that's what I want it to do, to go left. So there will be like a visual on the screen that says, like, move your hand to the left, and then they will train that left movement to left on the cursor control. But that visual could be anything. It could be like do a little jig, and that'll move it to the left. Like anything that it can do, anything you can do, I mean, it can learn, and you can map that to anything.
So does this include facial movements? Does it?
Yeah.
So you could like move it with your nose?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like we haven't tried anything like that. We haven't tried, a lot of stuff. This is very, very, like it's still very new. So there are things that we're working on what works well at this point. So like a lot of it is like my right hand stuff. We have mapped a lot of things to like individual fingers, hand movements in general, but we've done like left hand stuff, we've done like foot kick stuff, and it doesn't look like the signals are as good, but that also might be just due to the fact that some of the threads are pulled out. So when they fix that issue with the next people, then those things would be much, much better. And if that's the case, then you could theoretically do multiple things at once. It's not just, you map, say, my right hand to the cursor control, then you map my fingers in my other hand and my toes to like key control. So I could be moving the cursor and typing at the same time with my toes or something.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot to explore with this.
That's so interesting that it's tied to your mind telling different parts of your body to move. I'm very ignorant to this stuff. I thought like you were just using your mind and telling the cursor to go around.
Yeah, so it's something that is true. So it's something that we differentiate. There are what are called attempted movements and imagined movements. So at the very beginning, I did a lot of attempted movement. Attempted movement is just what it sounds like. I attempt to move my hand in a certain direction. I attempt to move my fingers, like lift your finger up, down, left, right. I attempt to do something, and then the algorithm will take that and translate it to cursor control. But what I realized maybe a few weeks in was that I could just think cursor, go here, and it would move. It blew my mind when that happened for the first time. Like I said, with everything going on in my brain, all of it still works. All the signals are still there. Like I think something to try to move, and the signal gets sent. So when I'm attempting to move my hand and the cursor's moving, and it's moving basically where I want it to, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. It didn't really shock me that it worked. I assumed that it would work because all the signals are still working. It's just my spinal cord that's jacked up. But when I moved it for the first time with my mind without attempting to move at all, I was giddy the entire day. I could not believe what had just happened. And I think we're going to find that with a lot of things. Right now we are doing like, I'm trying to map like sign language, like the sign language alphabet in order to text, like write words and stuff. And it's pretty promising. It worked. I'm sure there's a video out there of me somewhere that Neuralink has of me spelling a couple words with sign language.
Wow. So you're thinking in your mind, or you're trying to get your hands to make the signs of sign language, and then the computer interprets that as the language and types it out.
Yep. And I think the same thing is going to happen where I went from attempting to move my hand to imagining just moving the cursor. I think it's going to be the same way with the texting. I haven't had this confirmed yet, but I don't see why not. I think at some point the computer's going to learn, like me trying to do certain letters, if like attempting it, at some point I'm just going to think that letter instead of actually trying to move, and it'll type it.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think it's both like me learning what like the computer's trying to do, the algorithm, and the algorithm learning what I'm trying to do. And so over time, it's just going to be completely thought-based. I don't see why it wouldn't get there. From what I've seen just with the cursor control, it makes sense that, as I'm attempting, it's learning, and then instead of even needing to attempt, it'll just understand what I want to do, and it'll do it.
So you were saying that you were one of the first people to do this, and there's going to be more people in the trial, and that maybe they'll learn like the things that are going wrong with yours. Can they do yours again? Can they redo it?
Yeah, they could. It was something that, when the thread retraction had happened, I was obviously pretty broken up about it. I thought that, so like when they told me, I didn't have very good control of the cursor anymore. It was really hard for me to get the cursor to go where I wanted it to go. I thought my time in the trial was coming to an end, and that's really hard. It's something hard to come to terms with, because they had just shown me this whole new world, like all these new capabilities that I had, and they had introduced so many things. Like before that point, I had played video games for 10 hours without needing any sort of help, and it was hard to internalize that it could all be coming to an end. I know that it will at some point, because I'll be out of the study and I won't be able to use it anymore. So my first thought was, can you guys go in and fix it? Like go in, take it out, put in a new one. And they basically said, we're not at that point yet. We're going to see if we can fix it. We're going to see if we can do things on the software side to fix it, which they ended up doing. It works better than it did before now. Even with like fewer threads. So I'm glad we didn't, because they learned a lot. If we would have just gone in and taken it out and put in a new one, they wouldn't have learned anything that they had learned over the last 3 months. They could go in and do it. They're not going to. I don't think that they need to. But at some point, I know that the whole point of Neuralink is to be upgradable. So at some point, they're going to go in, hopefully, and take it out and give me a better one.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Now, what is the extent of your injury?
Sorry.
Of course.
I dislocated my C4, C5 in a... People keep calling it a diving accident. It wasn't really a diving accident. It was just sort of like a freak accident while I was swimming in the lake. So I dislocated my C4, C5, which they told me was good because I didn't sever my spinal cord. It was just kind of like my spinal cord like bounced out of place for a split second, then hopped right back where it was supposed to be. And so I cannot move anything. I have no control or sensation below my shoulders. I got a little bit back, like I can move my hand a little bit, but not enough to do anything. Like I couldn't control the joystick or anything. So yeah, no movement or sensation below my shoulders.
Is there anything that, have you looked into what they do with stem cells for?
Yeah. So I applied for studies before Neuralink, and I never got asked to be in any of them. I never even heard back from anyone, which is kind of what I assumed would happen with Neuralink, honestly. But I had applied for things because I obviously don't want to be paralyzed anymore. I don't want to be a quadriplegic. So it would be great if I could get into something and have them fix as much of me as possible. I mean, even if I had more control over my hands, the amount of things that I could do would like skyrocket, like an order of magnitude better. And my life would be better. My independence would be better. Everything.
Yeah, I don't think it would hurt to try. And
Yeah.
You familiar with a lot of these clinics, like the Cellular Performance Institute in Mexico?
No.
They do a lot of UFC fighters. They do, like, you can do things in other countries that you're not allowed to do in America because of regulations. But what they're able to do down there is they're going right into discs. And they're alleviating people's disc problems, where they're actually making the discs grow larger and heal people with back injuries. And I know I've read things about spinal cord injuries and improvements, but I would love to connect you with them. And they're the experts on this. They'd be able to tell you like what the state of the art in terms of like what the research shows that stem cells can and can't do.
Yeah.
I don't think it could hurt. I mean, it's a healing thing, right? If you're getting some sensation, a little bit better movement, maybe they could accelerate that.
Yeah, that would be great.
I'll connect you with them.
Cool. I don't know if I'm allowed to at this point.
Really?
Because I'm in the Neuralink study. I'm not sure that.
Maybe you should lie.
Yeah. I mean, it would be great.
You should lie, but that would suck to get out of the study too. Both things would suck.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe they would allow it.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I
mean, it's only something that would help you heal.
Yeah, I know. I just know that, like, in a lot of studies, something like that, even, they might not want to take on, like, the added risk.
Understandably.
Yeah.
Also, it would kind of mess up the control.
Exactly.
Like, what happens, you juice somebody up with stem cells, and does the brain pulsate more? Does the fibers come out more?
Yeah, how does it interplay with any sort of device that someone has implanted?
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Is there a hope in the future of utilizing this technology to help people regain movement?
Yeah, that's one of the plans. I don't know if you've seen anything on it. Basically, they do something similar to what the stem cell, a lot of the stem cell research is. A lot of the stem cell stuff is, implant stem cells above and below the level of injury, and those stem cells will migrate basically and create a bridge. Some of them have even talked about injecting right into the level of injury. So with the Neuralink, the plan is to implant one in the brain and then implant one below the level of injury, and then the Neuralinks will just talk right to each other. All the brain signals that it's picking up in the brain, wherever it's implanted, motor cortex in this point, in this scenario, would go straight to the other one, and it would send it right through your body like it should.
And do they have a plan on when to try this?
They're already trying it in animals. They have one in a pig. You can watch the video of it, where basically they have an implant in the pig's brain and an implant in the pig's spinal cord, I think in the thoracic section of the spinal cord. And they have been moving the pig's legs on its own. The pig's not paralyzed or anything, but basically they tell the pig, come to this section of, they grid off the floor, and they put food in a section of the grid, and they're like, if you're okay with us testing on you, pig, come over here, basically. And the pig will go in there, and then they will take control of the pig's leg, and they will start playing around with it, making the pig, so this right here. So all those movements right there, the pig's leg are them. They're doing it. So... and this is just the beginning, obviously.
So this is flexor movement. It's saying, and the pig is lifting its leg up unconsciously. It's not doing it on its own.
Nope, they're doing it all.
Dude, how long before they can hijack people? How long before the CIA can hack into you?
Yeah, I know, right?
That's that is the ultimate fear of human beings becoming cyborgs, is that we're going to be subject to all the problems that our computers and our phones have with malware and spyware and
hacking. I mean, people ask me all the time if this thing can be hacked, and short answer is yes. But at this point, at least, hacking this wouldn't really do much. You might be able to see some of the brain signals. You might be able to see some of the data that Neuralink's collecting, and then you might be able to control my cursor on my screen and make me look at weird stuff. But that's about it.